All right, well, we're not taking any questions. Basically, all we're going to do is vote to include this into the record. Is that not true, Mr. Atkins? I'm not quite sure how to handle this one.
Well, it's the council's call. If you want to receive and file it, that's typically what happens when we get letters and petitions. We receive them and we file them.
All right, could I have a motion as such?
I'll move that we receive and file it.
All right, could I have a second?
Second.
All right, further discussion. Mr. Wojcik?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd like to, back in 2006 was when I first got involved in public service. I was found a advertisement in the Post Bulletin looking for volunteers to serve on the Olmsted County Environmental Commission. It was only my second meeting when we actually had a heated discussion on something called the Indoor Air Quality Act, the Minnesota Indoor Air Quality Act, i.e. secondhand smoke. We aren't smoking inside buildings anymore in Olmsted County. Why this is important is because at that meeting, there was a paid lobbyist that was brought down that threw out a bunch of misinformation, trying to manipulate the body that was making a decision without any prior explanation. And even though that the information being presented was factually incorrect, there was no recourse other than to ask questions and get that information out there. As a result, I grilled the person who was making the bad data. In this case, he was claiming that the secondhand smoke was not in any way harmful. And I did so because I felt that that was in the public interest in getting that information out there. I also believe that in this case, when a lot of disinformation and poorly spelled out facts were being given, I should at least give him an opportunity to defend his positions. They were not defended well, as you can see in the video that will be posted on my website. The only qualifications to serve the public essentially are you have to be of age, you have to live in the right area, and your check has to clear. I am so grateful that to serve the city of Rochester, the city I love, the city I have chosen to live in, I don't have to throw away the First Amendment, and I can say what the citizens want me to be saying, whether it's popular or unpopular. At the end of the day, it's the citizens that decide who sits here. There is no decorum, there is no rules in place. And the reality is anyone who comes up here and spelling bad information, trying to manipulate a city council into making a poor decision based on poor data, will face tough questioning from me. Mr. Lehrman was not the first person to receive this tough questioning, and he certainly will not be the last. The reality is, with the Minnesota open meeting statutes, we do not sit around calling each other up because that is a violation of the open meeting law. Our only chance for public discussion is at these meetings. So when somebody comes up and throws information out that is absolutely patently false, it is our duty to question that and bring it up and bring it out for discussion. My only regret is that I wish more people were asking tough questions of everybody who came forward. When bad information is put out there, we have an obligation as being civic leaders with a lot of knowledge to step up and question that information. Now, there are some of your comments you make are absolutely correct. I am very critical of a lot of developers and practices, and I'm also very appreciative of when a good job is done. I don't believe the city of Rochester ever has to lower our standards to compete. I believe that we can be a great city and we can have high standards, and that has been the antithesis of some of the organizations that have lobbied us. When a citizen comes forward, I treat that citizen quite a bit differently than when a paid lobbyist whose job it is to come here and try and convince us to do something is before us. And I take that into consideration, and I appreciate all inputs, and I will listen. However, it's not my job to sit here and listen to bad information. I absolutely was critical of the Joe Weiss corporate welfare skyway. I was absolutely depressed with the fact that people had to pay out of their own pockets to fix the DeWitt's landslides. I was upset that the Washington Village got forced on the neighborhood without any thought to the long-term consequences. But you know what? This is to do with specific policies, and every one of my citizens that come forward, I will absolutely listen to what they have to say, yourself included. Every issue that comes before me, I come with a tabula rasa attitude. It is a blank sheet. Whenever people bring something new to me, it is a new issue, and if you or anyone else brings that forward, you'll get a fair listening from me. However, a fair listening does not mean I'm going to sit idly by and let poor information being stated. With regards to the specific complaints that you have, I believe that every question that I asked was specifically related to the street tree ordinance, and in fact, I'm going to post a video on my website as well as what each one of these questions that I asked were and which point of discussion is specifically applied to. If at that point you feel some of them still have not applied, I would ask you to come forward with the specific details of what you want. In the meantime, what I will say is that I serve no interests but the interest of doing what I think is best for my community. And if that means being tough on people who come forward and bring poor information up, I'm certainly going to do that. I can be very tough and I can be very fair. I very much respect your input. I've read your letter and I will respond to any additional requests. For now, I accept your letter. There will be no apology.
All right, anyone else? Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Appreciate the opportunity.
All right, I have a motion by Nowicki, a second by Bilderback. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? It is entered into the record. Moving on to our consent agenda and